Hi everyone, Jen Smith with Smith Country, and today I'm going to teach you how to do a provisional cast on using crochet. I know there's another way to do it. This is just my preference, obviously because I do both crochet and knitting. So I have a pre-done chain that I did with a loose knot at the end so that I can untie it later. Which I'll show you later on how to fold and put together your provisional cast on with the top part of your knitting. So I chained 90 chains. I'm going to do an 86 cast on. This is going to be for the Nikki Slouchy. I am using a white alpaca yarn to hopefully make it easier for you to see what it is that I'm doing. So we're going to start off here. Now for those of you that are familiar with crochet, when you crochet, the chain has, when you're chaining, you have that front part that has the two loops on the top, and then it also has this bump out in the back. This bump out on the back is what we're going to work with for the provisional cast on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle and put it into that bump. And what we're going to do is, take our yarn, which I should have done ahead of time, and we're going to slip knot that just like we would when we're getting ready to either crochet or knit. And, excuse me, I'll grab my needle that fell. So once again, we're going to take that bump out right here from our first chain, insert our needle, take our slip stitch that we did, go around our needle, pull the slip stitch a little tighter so that way we have a nice gap like I told you before about casting on, and then we're going to pull it through that back end of that chain. And then we're going to do it again on the next one, okay? And then we're going to not use the tail. There we go. Put it around the needle and take the needle and use that to pull it up. And we're going to keep doing that all the way around, or all the way to the end. And then when we're done, we will have 86 stitches cast on, and we will have the start of the brim. So I'm going to go all the way down to the end of this chain, but I want to make sure I have 86, so I'm going to have some chains that are unused, and I want that on purpose, so it's not too difficult for me. I like to have that little bit of extra room. That, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I miscount my chains, and if I'm off a couple, I don't have to worry about having to go back and redo it. One more note before I come back to show you how to do the ribbing part. The yarn that I use for the provisional cast on is actually a cotton. In fact, I actually like to use the 24/7 cotton. I don't go out of my way to buy a skein of it just for this, but I usually have a little extra because I actually use that yarn for several different types of projects. But I do like to use it because, as you can see, you don't generally tend to accidentally go into strands of the yarn, and it's not super fluffy like the white yarn that I'm currently using to make the hat. So I'm not having a hard time trying to find the back bump of the chain. It's really defined, it's really easy to find it. So that's something else to think about too when you do the provisional cast on. Make sure you're using a good defined cotton yarn. I really recommend it. Don't do anything super fluffy or you're not going to be able to work the provisional cast on the way you want to. So I'm going to keep going around, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys how to do a 1x1 ribbing, and then also how to do the twisted ribbing. Okay, and now we are at the point of, I have 83 of these, so I'm going to do my last 3. Go into this back loop again, wrap it around. I'm at 85 and 86. Okay, and then we have the last of our chains. So now what we're going to do is, this is just like if you were to cast on, there's that bottom part. That's the same. The difference is that we did a provisional cast on, which basically means that when you let go of these, this needs to connect to something. It's really handy when you want to do the folded brim. So see how it's got like it's just got the purl in it, just like if you were to cast on. The difference is that the purl is now cotton yarn instead. So what we're going to do, as I somehow put my place marker there so I know where the end of the circle is, and get everything all situated so I don't have any issues. And then this side is the ball side of the yarn, knitted side showing. You want to make sure that this is not twisted. So you want to make sure that the bottom goes all the way around. If you had this twisted, again, like any other cast on, you would have sort of that Mobius sort of infinity look to it, and we're not going for that. This is a hat. You will not be able to close it very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a knit in the back loop. And what that means is, once again, there's this little opening back here. Normally when you knit, you go in through the front and you have your yarn in the back. Because we are doing let me start from the beginning. First, we're going to do a regular knit, 1 purl 1, because we're doing the beginning parts of it. So we're going to do a knit and a purl. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So you want to knit, purl, knit, purl. And for any of you new to knitting, this is another chance to see how that works. So we're going to, when you knit, see your yarn? When you knit, your yarn is back here behind the needles, and you go in from the front right here to the left side, come out through the right. This is called yarning over in knitting. Pull out the yarn loop. And then for purling, you need to bring the yarn to the front. From the right side of that loop, you insert in through the front, just this front part of the loop. Again, yarn over, so you're taking the yarn, wrapping it around the needle takes the needle width, or the yarn width, and pulls it through. And there's a knit and a purl. And you'll see the texture there. There's the knit, there's the purl. Okay? So first I'm going to do this all the way around, and then after I do that, I will come back and we will go through after that how to do a twisted 1 by 1. 1 by 1 basically, really quickly, just means that we're doing a knit 1, purl 1. Twisted ribbing is what happens to the knit stitch as you are knitting it. So when we come back, I will show you how to do that, and then you will have all the basics to do the brim for the Nikki Slouchy Hat. Okay, so we are back, and I am now at the point of, I just finished my last purl, and I'm going to move my place marker, and we're going to start doing a twisted 1 by. So what that means is that, just like in crochet, there is a front and a back. The difference is that in this case, is it in the front of the knitting needle or in the back of the knitting needle? We are basically going to be knitting in the back loop of the knitting needle. So we're going to knit in the back and then purl. Okay, so once again, front of the needle, back of the needle. We're going to insert from the back. Normally we insert in from the front. We're going to insert from the back and knit. When we do that, it starts twisting the yarn. It makes a really nice tight ribbing, which you're going to want for a hat, especially when you do a 1 by 1. So see, it's that simple. So I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to keep going until it's 3.5 inches long. And again, this is for the Nikki Slouchy Hat. So when I come back, I will show you, it'll be at 3.5 inches, and I will then show you how I take the provisional cast on off, fold the brim, and make the actual brim of the hat, and then start the crochet part. Okay, we are on the last 3 stitches of the 1x1 ribbing. So I'm going to finish this off. So purl and twisted knit and purl. Okay, and now we are going to start the provisional. We're going to fold it over, get rid of the provisional part of the cast on, and also do the crochet part to start the Nikki hat. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start knitting around to do the folded brim part. So how we do that is we take this part that we had tied together to hold on to it, and we're going to fold the brim together. Okay, see how it's folded now? So what we're going to do is, if you see here, we have a loop there where the stitching was. See that? So with that, we are going to now very carefully take our needle, and where that loop is, we're going to attach it, and then we're going to start pulling the cotton yarn carefully so that that goes away. See? Now we have 2 loops. So we have, sorry, this loop's fuzzy, so it sticks. So now we have 2 loops. First we have the tail. That can just be tucked in like that. It's actually going to go into the brim. That way we don't have to weave it in later, it just sits in there. So what we're going to do is, I'm leaving this place marker in because I am actually going to do one more knit around, and I want to make sure I know where I'm stopping. So what we're going to do is, right here, we're going to knit around. So there's 2 loops here. See this? This is the back part of the brim. This is the front loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to knit those 2 together. Oops. Move your yarn over first from the purl. So we're going to knit, and we're going to regular knit, not twisted knit. So it's not going to be as tight either, which should make it easier. So see right here, we're going to knit that in. Okay, so we have the 1. This is where, just as a note, the bamboo needles are really nice because this is not sliding as much as metal needles would. So we're going to go like that around. See? This is something that you do, take your time. Don't feel rushed to, try and be fancy with this or get this done quickly, because the last thing you want is to lose all your stitches. So we're going to go all the way around, and as I said, this is going to be folded, and then we'll come back and crochet the rest of it off to get the Nikki Slouchy started. Okay, we are at the end of the knitted brim together now. So we now have a folded brim. I have a 5mm crochet hook that I'm going to be using to remove the knitting and start the crochet part of the Nikki Slouchy. So we're going to kind of bring our yarn over to the left side, and what we're going to do is we are going to insert our hook into the very first loop, and we're going to yarn over our crochet hook, and we're going to pull through that loop. Pretend that loop is like a single crochet. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, we're going to insert the hook back into the loop, pull up another stitch, and create a single crochet. Now we're going to pull another loop off the needle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And now that is what we're going to do the rest of the way around. We are basically just single crocheting into every single loop. If you haven't watched this before, I also did this for the leaf beanie. So I actually like to do this a lot where I knit the brim. I find it to be a little bit stretchier than if you did the crochet in the back loop. But I mean, you can do the crocheting and the single crochet in the back of each single crochet loop to get the brim as well. I just personally like the combined texture. I like the kind of the look of it. It gives this really, to me, a bit of more of a polished look on the brim, especially when you have it folded like this. So it's definitely something I enjoy doing with it. I personally enjoy doing both, so anytime I can merge the two together and kind of get a little bit of a break from one to the other within a single project, I enjoy that as well. So one more time, I'm going to show you this one last time slow. We are going to take our hook, insert it into the loop, remove it off the needle. Now it's around the hook, yarn over, pull around, and pull through. And there you go. That is the single crochet off of the knitted brim.